I'd like to move on to the expansion of Israel. When you come to the expansion of Israel, and you look at Psalm 83, some of the different things that you've said, a lot of Bible prophecy scholars will say, well, the expansion of Israel doesn't really happen until the millennial kingdom. We touched briefly on the millennial kingdom, but you say, well, not so fast. So when I look at the expansion of Israel, that's one of the points on your previous slide. So let's talk about that.
Okay. So while I talk, turn to Obadiah 1. Okay. That book that's hard for everyone to find. It's so short, right? But, first of all, let's talk about this. I personally think that Israel will expand enormously in the Messianic kingdom. I believe Christ will give them all the unoccupied lands promised in Genesis 15:18 from the river of Egypt, the Nile, to the river Euphrates. I believe they will get some of it incrementally, as they did when they won the war in 1967. They expanded incrementally after that war. Now, there's a precedence for that. Joshua did it when he came into the land of milk and honey. He took over that land, the promised land, parts of it. King Solomon and King David even took over more, and their reign about 3,000 years ago. Of course, Israel got dispersed in 70 AD, and now they're coming back in the land into a sliver of what the land was. But they expanded in 1967, and I believe we just read Jeremiah 49, they'll take possession of Ammon, Jordan. Zephaniah 2 said the same thing. Obadiah 1, verses 18 and 19. Please read, and 19 through 20.
19 through 20.
18 through 20.
18 through 20. The house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, but the house of Esau shall be stubble. They shall kindle them and devour them, and no survivor shall remain of the house of Esau. For the Lord has spoken. The south shall possess the mountains of Esau, and the lowland shall possess Philistia. They shall possess the fields of Ephraim and the fields of Samaria. Benjamin shall possess Gilead. And the captives of this host of the children of Israel shall possess the land of the Canaanites as far as Zarephath. The captives of Jerusalem who are in Sepharad shall possess the cities of the south. Then saviors shall come to Mount Zion to judge the mountains of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's. That hasn't happened yet.
No.
When I read that.
Right. Yeah. So the reason I had you read verse 18 is it says, the house of Jacob will be a fire, the house of Joseph a flame. Read that as the Israeli Defense Forces. The house of Esau shall be stubble. Remember the imagery we talked about? There'll be a fiery torch, and then there'll be stubble in Zechariah 12, verses 4 through 6. So Esau is the father of the Edomites. The tents of Edom, which I believe is referenced in Psalm 83, you read it. The Palestinians have an ethnical representation in them. They are, tents means in a habitation condition, probably refugees. So I think we got that scenario here. So it says that there's going to come a final battle, and Israel will win, and Esau will be stubble, and no survivor. Esau will not have a survivor, it says in verse 18. But then in the aftermath, they start expanding, and you read the things you talked about. They take over southern Jordan, Mount of Esau, the Gaza, Philistia, the West Bank, up through Ephraim, the Golan Heights. That's what I believe he's saying territorially. And even Zarephath, which is up in southern Lebanon. So they move, after they take out and make Esau's descendants stubble, I think they move in incrementally into some of these places, and of course Jordan we talked about in Jeremiah chapter 49. So I suspect, and they would do that because of the precedents. They did it in 1967. David did it. Joshua did it. It's their land. It makes their borders more defensible. I think it's coming. I think that's what these prophecies are saying. But they're not going to get all of it. You could literally fit I think that you could fit almost 36 modern-day Israels into all that land. So Amazing. They're not going to get all that until Jesus says, here, take this, take that. But then those tribes will get their territories.
Yeah, that's very fascinating.